What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to the land of Reckless Logic. Please make sure you guys pop that like button, hit the subscribe button, and please smack that notification bell so do not miss any of my posts for me. So just so you guys know, this video here, I will be talking about Dwayne Wade. Apparently, he fired back at his ex-wife in new legal documents. So that's exactly what we're going to be talking about. Now, I know for a fact 9 times out of 10 I will be cursing, so I'm going to run my fair use, and then we're going to get straight into the commentary. Let's go.
I'm in danger. I'm in danger. I'm in danger.
Disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allows is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, always constructive. Comment down below. News reporting, I guess that's what we doing. Teaching, hopefully y'all learn something. Scholarship, we ain't got no money. Education and research so you can get a nasty piece of degree. Okay? Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing.
Alrighty. What's going on, Conscious? How you doing today? Introduce yourself.
You got that damn creepy ass Balenciaga ass ending on that fair use.
Girl, do not associate me. Girl, please do not do that. Do not associate me with Balenciaga. You already know they already say the gays are into that the children stuff. Please do not do that.
Girl, I'm about to have your disclaimer canceled, baby. Just
about.
I am well. How are thou? I am so tired and so exhausted. I'm gonna be out of my mind in this commentary, but thank you for having me here.
Hey, out of my mind. Alrighty,
bitch,
girl. Alrighty, so just so you guys know, I will be reading an article from TMZ. Now, some of the images on TMZ actually has Zaya's picture and stuff. So with that being said, I will not be pulling it up because I don't want to expose the pictures or anything like that, even though she is a big figure, but still. But this is the article I will be reading from. Alrighty. So let me just get to reading, y'all. So it says here, Dwayne Wade fires back at ex-wife. Now it says ... allow Zaya to legally change her gender. That's misleading. Well, in a sense. All right, so the article says here, Dwayne Wade is going after his ex-wife again over her decision to try to block their daughter's name and gender change. This time calling, now y'all, I always butcher this lady's name, blame it on my tongue, not my heart. Now I'm going to attempt the name. It says Siohvaughn Funches Wade's. Objection to the court petition, both libelous and nonsensical. Wade spelled it out in new court documents obtained by TMZ Sports, saying his 15-year-old daughter, who is transgender, should be allowed to legally change her name and gender, despite Funches Wade's objection filed earlier this month. Wade argues in the docs it's all in Zaya's best interests, saying a court order affirming her identity will allow Zaya to live more comfortably and honest in all aspects of her life, from simple introductions and food orders to applying for driver's license and filling out college applications. This I was getting crazy. He adds in the docs, this petition is about allowing Zaya to take on the milestones of being a young adult with confidence and joy. Earlier this month, Funches Wade argued in court documents that the move should bar, alleging, it says, among other things, that Dwayne may be pressuring our child, and now it says, I quote, may be pressuring our child to move forward with the name and gender change in order to capitalize on the financial opportunities that he has received from companies. Now, Dwayne Wade did respond on Instagram, and the post here says, since this must be the new wave of parenting, I guess I have to address these allegations here, which is a damn shame. While I'm on the life-changing trip in our motherland, Africa, I've received a social media post about me forcing my 15-year-old child to be someone she's not and to do something against her will. These are serious and harmful allegations that have hurt our children. While none of us are surprised by Now this the lady's name, y'all. Siohvaugh's attempt. I'm gonna call her Miss Funches. Okay, attempt to fight Zaya'S identity and her unwavering attempt to drag my name through the mud. I'm very disappointed that she continuously finds ways of centering herself and her needs without regard to her children. This report came out while Zaya was in class. This is a kid who has maintained a 4.0 GPA in honors classes while navigating all this unsolicited and harmful attention and debates about her gender and sexuality from those who are committed to not listening to her, much less even knowing her. Now, the last part of this article says, Dwayne called the allegations BS in a social media post shortly afterward, and he expounded on that opinion further in Tuesday's filing. Now it says Siohvaugh's allegations are Siohvaugh's allegations are libelous, girl, my tongue, at their core and are at best nonsensical. Wade's attorney wrote in the docs, Dwayne filed this petition against Zaya because Zaya asked him to. Zaya has been going by Zaya since 2020. Wade initially filed this petition for the name and gender change in August. All righty, here we go. What do you have to say?
Well, like you said, headlines for one are slightly misleading. Media knows that the first thing that comes to everybody's mind when they talk about gender alteration of any kind is the reassignment surgery. And of course, we're talking about simply changing her pronouns and her gender on her license, on her state ID. One of those things. I want everybody to understand that gender reassignment surgery literally is illegal under the age of 18. It doesn't matter that Zaya Wade is the birth child of rich, wealthy, melanated ass country folk. She cannot undergo gender reassignment surgery until she is of legal age. And there has been zero conversation about her mutilating or transitioning any of her genitalia. So the fact that that's been the conversation is don't chop off her dick, and Bootsy's words. There has been single conversation about her chopping off or removing or altering anything at all. And I'm on the side with Funky Dineva because I did watch Foxo, and he pretty much said everything I was going to say, which is that this is really selective outrage and nonsense because everybody pretty much has already transitioned into calling her Zaya and calling her and using the appropriate pronouns. All they're doing is putting it down on paper. So, yeah. But I'm going to just start there. I know we'll get deeper off into it.
Yeah. And you know the thing that's crazy to me, because I actually did want to make sure we made a clear difference then, because this is the reason why education is very much needed. Because my thing is, even if you quote unquote disagree with anything, this is the reason why education is needed. It's needed because you guys, not you guys, but if the shoe fit, it is what it is. But if you guys disagree with Zaya's identity, gender identity, etc., at least with the education, you guys will be able to make sound arguments to be able to rebut, like as a rebuttal to why you feel that the gender identity and what they're doing is such a quote unquote wrong thing. And so since a lot of times the general public lacks a lot of information when it comes down to gender identity and specifically trans individuals, people have run to these certain narratives that if you actually were educated in these certain conversations and spaces, it wouldn't make sense for you to say certain things. So yeah, so that's really all. But I do want to make sure that you did touch up on the difference between the actual gender and sex, and then also the actual surgery. And like you said, the person has to be 18 years old to at least get that surgery. And then on top of it, there's a process to that. I do remember you on your platform saying that with the process, they have to see a doctor, they have to see a psychiatrist. Yeah. It's a long process to it.
And
so
people undergo a lot of vetting to make sure that this is something that they want, that these are changes that they're willing to live with. A lot of therapists, because I have a friend who is transitioning right now, and she is male to female, and her therapist is working alongside her, kind of helping her to transition without the surgery right now. So she's wearing prosthetics, and she's dressing up in female clothing, and she's going to bed with these prosthetics and waking up in these prosthetics, and carrying on in her daily life with these prosthetics and in female attire, to just see what it's like to commit to these changes and to this body type, etc. These are all things that definitely help one to really understand. And ironically, she doesn't necessarily want the surgeries, and even is figuring out whether she's trans or somewhere in the non-binary type, because she also is very much so comfortable and in alignment with aspects of her masculinity. So these are all, it has
Get into your bag. I know it's coming.
Yes, because I am so tired. I hate it because my brain is like mush right now. But this is very important, especially as Westerners, for us to really take our time with the concept of gender specifically, because we've lived in such a strong binary in this country, and a lot of people who do not fit the extreme left, male and man, or the extreme right, female and woman, don't know what the middle space is, except for trans, which oftentimes does not fit either. So understanding that all of us have a masculinity and a femininity is really where the work has to begin. Is that we as males have to accept that we have our femininity and that we have the divine feminine, and vice versa for women. But we live in a culture that's much more easy and lenient on women identifying or kind of having a pendulum that swings. When I think about like Debrat, who, bodied her androgyny. I think about Eve back in the Rough Rider days, who was, she bodied her androgyny. I think about Missy Elliott, who, bodies her androgyny. I think about Aaliyah, in the early parts of her day with the boxers and, the Tommy Hilfiger jump off androgyny. So women have more so, really kind of been allowed to develop and to kind of become one with their self in that way. The work is really around permitting males to just experience themselves and understanding that the experience is much deeper even than the labels, because we're trying to use language to contextualize, to conceptualize, but it really just comes down to what your embodiment and you having the affirming space to be in touch with something that is not really about a sense of morality. This is just literally about our nature as spiritual beings, that when you strip down all of your flesh, strip down all of your identity politics, what you are is divine. What the divine is made of is both sides of the coin. Hence why in the scriptures it also says that God, created both male and female in my own image, that us as the divine in flesh strip away our nationality, our ethnicity, our sex, etc., that we all are both sides of these coins. So when we can start there, I think it makes it easier for people to just be and to just harmonize with their capacity for masculinity and femininity. I think we need to really take this conversation out of a moral. This is not about morality. This there's no right or wrong in your capacity for femininity or masculinity. It's just these things they just are what they are. There's no bad, good, right or wrong. It's
They
just
love to do that.
Literally, our nature is masculine and feminine. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and like, okay, so let me say this: is that for one, there is a difference because I don't know who's gonna come across it. There's a difference between your sex and your gender. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, specifically if you're not into these conversations, they're going to say that's the same thing because a man is a man, a man is a man, and a woman is a woman, and all these other things. But however, here's the thing. The thing is that a lot of times, and this is where a lot of privileges may come and go, if you actually acknowledge the different privileges that you may have access to, it would be easier for you to be able to understand different concepts, different ideas. Because of the fact that heterosexual, or I'm gonna say cisgender, if you're cis, that means the same, which means basically in a nutshell, if you're not trans, you're cisgendered. Okay. The sex has more to do with your sexual anatomy. That is male or female. Your gender has to do with the social construct, which is how you interact, how you show up, how you present yourself day by day by day by day. Okay, so when it comes down to your sex, it's male or female. When it comes down to your gender, specifically, you can be male. You can be man, woman, or non-binary. Now, when it comes down to the non-binary aspect, what that is, you do not sway either to the man or the woman social constructs. You're either in between as androgynous, or you kind of go by your own, by your own tutor. You kind of toot your own horn. You get what I'm saying? So here's the thing. A lot of times when people enter these conversations, they're looking at it through a cisgendered perception, which is what that privilege allows you to do. When you have privilege, it creates blind spots when it comes down to other people's experiences. And not only does it create blind spots, it also gives you the right, and I'm using this loosely, the right or I would say the liberty to be able to not think about other people's experiences and how they may go through life. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of times I cisgender people saying, hey, if you're a male, you're a man. That's not true, because for a long time, cisgender people have always controlled the narrative for transgender individuals. You get what I'm saying? So I do believe that once you actually take yourself out of it, as in saying, I'm cisgendered, but this person is trans, then the conversation can move, I guess, much further, and you get a deeper understanding. So I'm gonna say that. Hold on. And y'all make sure y'all like this video. Y'all like this video. All right. So yes, here's the thing. I'll be honest, because I did watch the Funky Dineva, the TGIF, and I'm with Funky Dineva as well too. Is the child healthy, and is the child happy? So I understand that the child is healthy, and also from what it looks like, the child is happy. And so with all of that being taken into account, what seems to be the big issue? And I think that's the question that people really do have to, I guess, really uncover and really dig within themselves and try to get that answer and be honest about it. I feel like a lot of times, well, I know a lot of times when we enter these conversations, specifically, people try to push their own motives on certain situations, specifically in conversations they have no knowledge on, specifically in conversations when that's not even their experience, and specifically in conversations where they try to dress it up as in, I'm thinking about the child, but however, in the same sentence, you're so quick to try to push your own narrative because that's really the fear of this child may be trans. You get what I'm saying? So let me see what these people in the comments are saying. Let me go back. All right, so let me see right here. Arshawn says, we're so afraid though. I've had conversations and there's almost a terror with any exploration. I wonder why there is so much terror. I'm going to tell you why there's so much terror. There's so much terror because people aren't educated on trans identities And now we're starting to get into the conversation of other existences besides cisgender and heterosexual. So yes, there's always going to be a terror because that's just that phobia, lack of knowledge. And also keep in mind that people have always been queer people, trans people as well, have always had their narrative, their stories told for them. Like the same reason why if I were to go on a panel, just using me for example, if I was to go on a panel and say, yeah, I was born gay or I was born feeling this way, 9 times out of 10, and this happened a plethora of times, cisgender heterosexual people would literally be on the panel saying, no, you weren't. It was a choice. After I told them my experiences, after I told them this what happened to me, oh no, you was just sexually assaulted. Or oh no, you're just confused. They're trying to tell me and push their motive on me when my experience speaks for itself. And that comes from privilege. Anything else you want to say?
I got a lot to say. We didn't even crack the shit. For one, yeah. So there's been no conversation around the sex. What we are experiencing is fear phobia. Now, bringing it all the way back to the actual topic of Dwayne Wade and Zaya and ex-wife, Zaya's mama, etc. It is very clear and obvious to me that Zaya's mother literally is using her title as a mom in order to seize control of the situation, which is motivated by her transphobia. Because my whole thing with Zaya's mom is Zaya is what? How old is Zaya? Is she 15, 16? How old is she?
15, I believe. 15.
So you're telling me, your daughter has been through puberty. You've missed that.
Yeah.
She's experiencing her hormones. This is the time of her life where she's interested in experiencing romantic feelings, sensual feelings. This is the time where she's developing another level of ego, aka self-awareness. You wasn't trying to petition the courts to get your ass involved to be there for any of those fundamental developments, but yet what you are rallying behind is jumping out of the window because Zaya is evolving in a way that you don't understand, and your transphobia is causing you to take the approach of Angela Stanton. And let's be very clear. It doesn't seem to me that she wants to be a part of the process. She wants to determine it. She wants to determine it. Not to co-create alongside Zaya, but she wants the space and the opportunity to be able to say, you know what you're doing is wrong. God doesn't approve. God didn't make you this way, baby. It's not like you're wanting to come in and humbly understand, give an honest and earnest ear to Zaya. You want the opportunity to be transphobic. You want the space and access to Zaya in order to project your own ideology and feelings, etc. And the plan is, if she's granted that space, which Dwayne Wade has said, this woman has had, her and her gums have had plenty of opportunity to be in their child's life and has been missing in action like a trifling nigga. And now you're wanting to get in here because you show up tardy to the party, which is fine, but let's be clear about what your motives are. You want to be transphobic, and then if you can't get Zaya to bend to your will, the plan is to then continue the narrative that Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union are forcing this on Zaya, are making her identify this way, and because she knows what Boosie knows, that we live in a predominantly homophobic, transphobic ass society that
Into
she's
it.
going to win the court. She's going to win in the court of public opinion with that narrative. Because she already recognizes the fear mongering. She already sees the energy. She already sees how many people are collectively resistant to this and ignorant to this. And she's going to weaponize that against them if she cannot get through to Zaya.
Yep. I agree.
I just don't understand why in all of Zaya's development, because my question is, would you be jumping out of the window,
get into it,
pushing narratives, lawsuits, civil suits, trying to get shared custody, etc., if Zaya was identified as Lil Z, the cis hetero, pants sagging, biceps low cut, ladies man out here doing his thing, being successful in school, getting A's, doing da. Would you be jumping out the window? No. You wouldn't be. You have no real incentive to you're not sincere, and it's okay. And I'm glad that Zaya is old enough to decide who she wants to put up with, because she also gets to say so now at this age.
Yeah.
I'll clip it there.
Clip it there. Okay, so here's the thing, like, and that's what I meant exactly when I said people dress it up as in I'm thinking about the child, and I'm even gonna say as well when it comes down to the conversation of which one was it? The thank God it's Friday with Claudia and also Al. Y'all are really pushing your own narratives when it comes, your own motives when it comes down to these conversations, because the simple fact of whenever it's heterosexual or cisgender children, those fears don't happen. Those things don't happen. And even when Funky Dineva repeatedly, keep in mind, I'm going to use this for example, for purposes, you guys can actually look at the video, but even when Funky Dineva kept saying there is a distinction between reassignment surgery, which i.e. you can't, for more information, you can't get that until you're at least 18. And then there's a long process that also you have to also take into account, and also changing the gender and name of documents on paper. And then on top of that, we'll keep in mind, we're not talking about just any trans child. We're talking about a wealthy trans child that if people go with this narrative as in maybe it's just a phase, then guess what? Things like Conscious said one of his videos before, if it's a phase, then that's the thing about a phase, it ends. And when it ends, you can turn everything right back because they have the funds and the resources to do so. So being able to dress it up, I'm thinking about the child. And like when you actually start to really dig deep and start to pull back the layers, okay, so what happens when the person's 18? Like Funky Dineva said, what happens when the person's 18? You're still going to be transphobic. You're still going to feel some type of way. So it's not about the children. Because if it was about the children, when you actually talk to these trans children, then you will have a deeper understanding. But that's all I got.
Zaya's mom is living out her worst fear, which is she's experiencing, like most parents when it comes to trans and queerness, she's experiencing an ego death. She refuses, like a lot of parents, to allow their fantasy of their child to die. She wants the opportunity to have her needs met in the situation, not Zaya, as you and I are saying. This is about you. And I wish parents would stop acting like this is about the Bible, this is about God, this is about biology, this is about sanity, this is about logic. This is not about none of that. It's about you, boo. Don't talk to me. Don't you can't present yourself as a rational person to me and then argue that you believe in books about talking donkeys and speaking bullshit and walking on water. No shade, you believe in all of that, but I'm saying if we go, so let's just leave all that out of there. Let's not talk about biology either, because at the end of the day, once again, every human being here is a product of both their mother and their father.
Yep.
My DNA can trace me back to my mother and my father. My body can tell you that I belong to my mother and to my father. I have both of their features. All of our bodies tell this androgynous tale of our male and female lineage. That's why the trans thing is so wild as an issue in the West, but it's only really wild because of how extreme the polarity has really been.
Yep.
You know, because in other, you know, you got third genders all over the world. You have this conversation happening in every other community. So these things have their place metaphysically, they have their place culturally. These people have their rightful place amongst society.
Yes.
But here in the West, there's a big befuddle because the real reality is about the West is that even though in God we trust is on every dollar bill and there's a church on every block, America is actually really left brain and atheistic, really.
No shade.
America is really atheistic. Who our God really is our money. Who our God really is the American dream. Who our God really is our status, our clothes, our cars, our capacity to be independent. We actually are a lot less spiritual than we actually give ourselves credit for. And queerness, as far as I'm concerned, of all kind, whether we're talking about non-binary people, trans people, same-gender loving men and women, etc., for me, this is a spiritual phenomenon. Queerness is a metaphysical thing at heart. But when you introduce metaphysical concepts to a very secular, left-brain, masculine-minded culture, then you're going to get the bullshit. And you're going to get the resistance, even by the same people who claim that they are a metaphysical people. Being religious and being spiritual, being religious and being metaphysical are two solely different things.
Yeah.
And America only props up religion because religion is another way to resurrect rule.
Yeah.
That's what Americans love about religion, is the right to rule and to control other people and to maintain a bubble. That's what Americans love about religion. They don't really love God. They don't really love Jesus. They're not really mastering that love thing and that metaphysical thing and that eternal thing. And they're not mastering all of that. They are addicted to religion because they are addicted to the controlling and the sustaining of the bubble, which can be sustained through religiosity. We're just not telling the truth, and we are indirectly oppressing other people as a result of our own ignorance and narcissism and egotism, but our deep and profound fucking ignorance, truly. And it's costing people their lives.
And that's the thing that really, like, it blows me literally. It's the fact that people love hollering, I care, this is for the children, I care about the children, I care about the children, but yet when these children actually begin to voice and say this is what's going on. And here's the thing too, and let me just be honest with some of the parents that just don't seem to get it. So let me just break it down to you guys like this. Because I understand, I can get why some people may have this, well, you know, children, they change their minds and all these different things. What if it's the wrong thing? But here's the thing. I'm gonna speak for me specifically. I'm not saying when your child comes up to you and say something along the lines of, "Mommy, Daddy, whatever, I think I'm a girl," or "I think I'm a boy." I'm not saying you just go right along and say, yes, okay, so what, now we're going to paint your nails, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and you just go along with it. I'm not saying that. Now, the first time it happened, you can blow it off and be like, okay, you know, just because I've seen children do that as in saying something, and then you never hear about it anymore. But however, if this has been going on for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, a couple of months consistently, or even those who even wait even longer, a couple of years, then yes, that's something that you need to investigate and get more information on, because the lack of information, and I think it's very interesting too, as well as like people always holler out, I'm gonna lose my daughter, I'm gonna lose my son. But the thing about it, if you don't embrace that child, you're gonna lose your daughter and your son regardless. You're either gonna lose them because they left from home, because you didn't have the proper information, so you didn't know how to comfort your child effectively, so they left and they decided to remove themselves from the situation, remove themselves from your household and your care, and also to having access to them and also to you. And also, you just might lose your child. I hate to be the one to say it, but you might lose your child walking into the room and you see them hanging from a ceiling fan. So this is the reason why we're literally, at least for the most part, y'all need to have more information and more education in these subjects. And then at the same time, back to what Conscious was saying, something I want to hit up on, is that she's trying to push her own motive and dress it up as in I'm trying to care about the children, but yet using triggering language, and plus the topic itself is already triggering, which means that the MK Ultra, aka the transphobia within society, is gonna trigger up.
That transphobia be the MK Ultra.
Like for real, because all you have to say is gender or anything like that, and children, the transphobia come on, baby, like that. They be like this. And like,
mind control activated.
And you know what really gets me is like the MK Ultra, aka transphobia, triggers up. And then the thing about it is that people aren't educated on these subjects, so you can't even make a sound argument. At least if you're going to be able to try to refute, know what you're talking about. And I use this subject and this example all the time because I really try to bring it here when it comes down to melanated people. Is that because all we know about is race, y'all, as a collective. So that's like me talking to a white person, and they're saying that they want to teach their children about critical race theory and race. Okay, cool. Then I have a conversation with said white person, and I ask them general questions about the basics, as in, can you tell me the difference between race, ethnicity, and nationality? And they can't tell me the difference between those three basic things. What makes you think I can trust this parent having a nuanced conversation about race to their white child? They're not going to be able to do that. And now here's the thing. Y'all take the message and what I said and apply that to gender identity and elsewhere. You have to know the basics, and a lot of times people don't, because even when people speak, yes, because she was a man, yeah, and she was this, she was that. It's like you're conflating sex and gender, which is the same reason why I'm pretty sure we have male animals in the animal kingdom, like male lions, male dogs. That shows you the sex, the sexual anatomy. But however, we don't have man dogs or man lions. That lets you know that's the social construct, and the two can be separated. And they're not always.
You know what, Reckless?
What's up?
I'm willing to believe that the ignorant transphobe buffoons of the society, of the community, probably don't even give a damn about the difference, because either way, they think that these are supposed to be strong lines of demarcation, that females should be the only people assimilating to woman, and males should be the only thing assimilating to man. Biological females should not be assimilating to the man construct, and biological men should not be assimilating to the woman construct. So these these left brain folk, they wouldn't give a damn. The education wouldn't serve them, because they identify with the polarity. They've only been conditioned to accept the polarity. They've only been trained to receive the polarity. And there hasn't been enough queer people also in the proper spaces to really represent and defend their existence and properly educate folk as well. Things have kind of just been put in society's face. But I agree with what you are saying. It's just because even when you talk about the kid, I'm like, I'm not even if my little boy wants to wear pink fingernail polish, those are not the type of things that I'm going out of my way to teach my kids right and wrong about. Honestly, I think if more males were actually in touch with their femininity, that the dynamics between cis hetero men and women could actually be a lot healthier.
Yes.
Because you have a heavy, extreme polarity. This is why you have notions like women are from Venus and men clearly are from fucking Mars somewhere. You have the sexist and this gender war. They think this is the trans thing of the gender war. Cis hetero men and women been in a goddamn gender war for the past 15 years. There's been this thing, and women have always complained about men not having the capacity to nurture them and to understand the nuance of love, and vice versa. Men have complained about women being a little bit too frigid around these areas. And it's just like all of this misunderstanding is coming out of the extreme development of the polarity. If you're going to condition males to be all the way over here and females to be all the way over there, how the fuck are they supposed to come together unanimously and create healthy, functional families and have a healthy romantic love when you're teaching them to be so far away and so extremely different from each other and so extremely contrasting to each other, and yet want to uphold concepts of union? How the fuck do you want to union that?
And you know what's so crazy? The crazy thing is, this is the reason why. Okay, so yeah, I'll be having a conversation with people in my real life or whatever, and it's always me versus the whole room for the most part. And they always say things about relationships, a codependency, and then I have no problem with, I guess, the whole codependency part, because I guess, okay, if you are with your partner, I'm pretty sure you guys are going to help each other out. It's the fact that they say codependency, and then I actually have them expound on it. It's so toxic. And one of the dead giveaways, and my women, please listen to me closely. If a man looks at you and says something along the lines of, I need for her to be my peace, you better run for the motherfucking hills. Reason being that is a red flag is because you need somebody to be something that you don't have access to. So you need someone else to be your peace. That means you have a lot of chaos in your life. That is a red flag. And so it's like this, a lot of this, these binaries aren't working out for anyone at all. And they literally, when I say men literally, and this is always the different parts of YouTube I be on, they always complain about the issues that they see in women, all the issues that they're experiencing, but not even recognizing they're having the Kanye West effect. As in, you're complaining about, and in this example I gave for Kanye West, you're complaining about non-black men having access to power, but however, you glorify and amplify the system of white supremacy, which is the exact same system that gives them power. So you're literally telling me that you're complaining about women putting you on child support and quote unquote running your pockets dry, but yet you glorify and amplify a patriarchal system which reinforces sexist gender roles. So, and this is something I always say, you can't get mad at amplifying a system and then get upset when the side effects are in effect, because you're trying to glamorize and amplify gender roles, as in you're the provider, you're the protector, and then the woman cooks and cleans, take care of the children in the household. What do you think what do you think is going to happen if you believe in those things? I'm pretty sure other people, specifically who make the law as well, believe in those things as well. That's the reason why when you guys are together as a family, but just so happen if you guys separate, the children are more than likely to go with the designated driver, aka the mother, because we have been socialized to think. And a lot of times too, women are more than likely to be with the children most of the time. And of course, they're going to put you on child support because your gender role is the provider. So you can't get mad at the side effects of the exact same system that you constantly push and you constantly glorify. And so that's the thing that gets me, because it's like you guys are glorifying transphobia and homophobia, then get upset at DL culture, and also get upset that someone like a Caitlyn Jenner comes out of nowhere. You can't get mad at that. You guys amplify the system that puts all of these side effects in place. So yes, you don't have to quote unquote sleep with trans people or even quote unquote look at like you don't have to get into all of that. But however, I think that we should have more of a space of accepting, I'm going to say accept, if not accept, respecting people and actually having more knowledge on certain issues. Because you can't get mad at it when you continue to push it. No shade.
I'm going to tell you what would, since Americans are determined to be remedial, what would simplify this whole thing? And I always go back to Dr. King because, he make it so plain. So does Christ. I love the teachers of Christ because he makes it so plain. See, Christ knew he was talking to dummies. That's why he made it so plain. He used as less words, less syllables, less vowels as possible, honey. He tried to just, girl, because he knew y'all was going to calculus the shit, honey. So he tried to just shrink it on down. This will squash it all if you literally only focus on cultivating and nurturing great human beings. Great meaning the capacity for intellect, for high academia, for high IQ, and a strong moral compass. You wouldn't give a damn whether they go pierce every part of their body, get tattooed from the head to the damn toe, identify as this, that, them, they, all of them, bitch. Let us make them in our image, damn it, because that's what the non-binary they represent, baby. It's the they part, honey, the us part of the goddamn divine, baby. The goddamn tribunal in this bitch, okay? Like it's like if you wouldn't even be able to get into the external if we understood that what's fundamentally significant about human existence is our contribution to one another, which only can come through sound mind and a sound heart. The way someone dress, the way someone look, the way someone identifies are all completely and utterly irrelevant. You have successful queer people all across the spectrum who are professors, who are police officers, who are in Congress, who are in military, who are grandfathers, grandmothers, wives, husbands, who do it all. We are making an issue out of an issueless thing. So if actually being educated about gender, actually being educated about sexuality is that much of a damn feat and that difficult, fine, baby, you ain't even got to worry about it. Simply focus on raising someone you can be proud of because of who they show up in action as. Not whether they show up in a Timberland or a high heel. Not whether they show up in slacks or dress. But you can learn to be proud and to hold your value in the type of humans you are nurturing and cultivating. Rather than the who. Male, female, gay, straight. I'd much rather raise smart, intelligent, communal, humanitarian human beings who want to make the world a better place and care a lot less about the materiality of the human. We have moved so far away from that. These people would rather a thug or son who has not complete his high school, who has not gotten his diploma, who's on his second baby mama, rather than to have a proud, feminine, flamboyant gay son who is in college, who is living well, who is educated, who is financially self-sufficient, but because he prefers a wig and lipstick and has a high-pitched voice, they rather throw out the baby.
Baby, they don't want to. It's the lack of well, I'm gonna stop saying that as well. A part of it is the lack of information, but at the same time, a part of it is that they don't give a, like someone said in the comments. Yeah, I'm trying to stop cussing because I'm about to get monetized. They got us like they don't care, and so I feel like a lot of people, if they just be honest, a lot of people will literally do the actions of I'm gonna be transphobic, I'm gonna be homophobic, I'm gonna be misogynistic, but just don't label me as that. I'm gonna be racist, but I'm not gonna actually claim the label of being a racist. I'm just a white supremacist or white nationalist. It's like they always want to fancy it up. It's like, no, you're gonna be racist. You're racist. It is what it is. What's going on, IG? How are you doing today?
But I'm gonna add to that. What's telling about all of the social constructs that are weaponized by the hateful, whether it's racism, whether it's sexism, whether it's homophobia, queerphobia, fatphobia, anti-blackness, whether it's what's at the root of it, is that is very telling of the lack of humanity in other people. It shows what the observer's priority is when they observe other people. And when you have these fixations on sex and gender and race and all of this shit, then there you go. You see that these people really are suffering from a compartmentalized humanity, aka a lack thereof of humanity. And that's why their observations are reduced to your orientation, to your aesthetic, to the color of your skin, to your nationality, to. So I just wish that people would really understand how this stuff is really more about them. Like, it's really more so about your hateful ass than it is about who you're hating. It's really more so about your disconnected ass than it is about who is on a receiving end of this stuff. That this stuff has very little to do with queer folk and trans folk, and has very little to do with your impartial sense of humanity. And I'll let my plan there.
Yep. All right. So before I have IG step in, y'all make sure you guys thumbs up this video. It really does help with the algorithm. I do have a little announcement. So just so you guys know, I am starting a panel. Think of this panel. Well, I've been promoting it on my Instagram and my Facebook. And then, by the way, y'all follow me on all my social platforms and stuff. That's why I let people know I'm going live. I kind of keep things going because I understand YouTube don't always notify people. But that's another reason why you guys continue to like, comment. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section, in the chat. But however, I'm making a panel. As you guys already know, the Reckless Bureau, whatever, I'm going to make it in an official panel where we come together. I kind of want to kind of keep it like once a month in the beginning and then see how things keep going. I have a plethora of people that I will have on the panel. Of course, at different times, we're going to come together and talk about sensitive topics. All righty. Just give you guys a heads up. I will be putting a flyer up just so you guys know. What's going on, IG?
Hey, IG.
Hey, what's that? And I started making me another drink. When I tell you that we was talking about this, me and my good trans sister, we was having this conversation. And it's one thing I've always, it's puzzled me about American culture, and they're not just in the Black community. You ever think about this? And it's something I'm gonna do a panel, and I'm gonna talk about this. But the misgendering of folks started way before trans people became more public. Well, what do I mean? Well, think about it. How many times have you, as a gay person or as a gay male, when people figure out that you're gay, they start using, even though you don't communicate or play with them like that, guess what? They start giving you female pronouns. Same thing with women, and same thing with women that appear to be more masculine or have more masculine expression energy. And that's they already started that, which they started misgendering people based off of sexuality first.
Yep.
So, and then another question in the statement that I want to bring up is like, well, okay, well, first of all, you said we're not men because we have sex with somebody who share our same anatomy who happens to be male. But then you're complaining about so many Black men expressing their gender as trans women. But then when they become trans women, now you see the dick. Now you see the man. But before this whole time, when they did not identify as trans or gender non-binary or cross-dressing or anything like that, you couldn't see them as men. But now all of a sudden there are more black males that are born that are transitioning. You can't help but see the masculinity. So I think it's a very telltale sign that heteronormatives have always misgendered people.
And I'm gonna agree with you when it comes down to people. Hold on, wait 1 second. Conscious, step in.
Yes, I totally agree. It's crazy that you say that because I didn't even think of that until you just said it, IG. Like when I was growing up and I was in high school and stuff, like you said, I mean, shit, to them, I was so gay, so much sugar in my tank. I was such a girl. I was something I was something else other than male to them. And then you see the hypocrisy and you see the desperation to control the narrative because, okay, like in Lil Nas X, you guys are going to beat us over the head in Bible song. I'm going to go ahead and go to hell then. And then when I go to hell, you're going to be outraged that I embrace hell. You're going to be outraged that, okay, you've been calling me your girl and telling me I got so much sugar and calling me a sissy and misgendering me as a queer man. And then when I go then and body the sissy, I go step into the sissy. I want to go own the sissy. Here it is now. I'm such a fucking man. And and now you can see all of my maleness and perceive all of my and it goes back to that agenda, and it's that cis hetero supremacy that we always talk about.
I live for hearing y'all. I love seeing intelligent Black same gender loving men. I was like, oh baby, this is the perfect time. And I don't know why. See, I was subscribed to you on my other YouTube channels. I wasn't subscribed to you. You subscribed on all three of my pages, Reckless now. So I'm living for this conversation.
Period.
That
is wild, IG. That is perfectly said. It's true.
Because here's the thing. It's like you can't pick and choose, and there's this misconception that people confuse sexuality and sexual orientation. And I'm gonna say this, and it's gonna probably sting not us, but see, the truth of the matter is sexual orientation is not necessary for the procreation of life.
Exactly.
Your orientation, your social gender construct does not play a role in biology. It doesn't even when it comes to a person's gender expression. That still does not change how biology still can and will work. Because in one breath, you can't see it. When you mention the whole DL men thing, when people say they got the nerve to complain, but that's one thing kind of confuses me there too. It said, well, first of all, you said men who don't engage in any man who engages in homosexual is not a man, and they don't necessarily sleep with women. Well, it's a clear indication by the DL man's behavior. Him engaging in homosexuality in secret has not stopped him from having the ability to still procreate.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad you said that because okay, so side story. I'll be on Bigo, right? I haven't been on there like too crazy, like as of lately and stuff. I really use that platform as like a case study or whatever. And I know some things may be distorted because I know a lot of people may go on and just say stupid stuff, but they may not always believe it. They just say it because they know it gives them money. You can make a lot of money on Bigo. But there are some people on it that do say a lot of things, and they do believe it. And I think it's interesting because I be on them woke hope panels. Oh, and God. I kind of stopped going because it's like I kind of got to a point. I'm not trying to argue with people, especially when I feel like they're not gonna get it. So I'm just wasting my breath. But when I used to go on them panels, they used to always say all the time, if you're a man, you're a man. If you're a woman, you're a woman. But then at the same time, in different instances of the conversation, I would bust out laughing. I'll mute myself and bust out laughing because they'll never let me get a word in. They would literally say things along the lines of, oh, I believe if you're a gay man, you're not a man, you're a male, but you're not a man. Then how can you look other trans individuals in the face to be able to denounce their gender identity, but yet and say that being a man or being male makes you a man, but then the same instance denounce the gender identity of queer men and say that you're not a man, you're a male. So which one is it? Are you gonna deny? Like, my thing is this: why wouldn't I be a man? That's the question. Why wouldn't I be a man? Because I may sleep with the same sex.
Yeah, because you got to understand that the extension that one of the bases for their homophobia is their misogyny.
Yeah,
because they are anti-feminine and anti-woman. Of course, you are disrupting and offending male hierarchy and privilege by essentially assimilating in some way, either by being attracted to other men or by exhibiting what they would call feminine or female tendencies and traits, which are all disposable, because in misogyny, that's what it is. It's simply the objectification of woman and female. There's no inherent substance or value in the misogynistic lens to the feminine virtue. It's all objectification. So that patriarchal system doesn't understand why any of us as males would want to identify with what they just are not bold enough to come out and say is the lesser sex. They started off really saying that, but now in this kind of woke era, the male community is slower to really just say it flat out that why would you want to identify in any way with the worthless sex, with the useless sex, with the invaluable sex? There's no inherent privilege and redemption of you identifying as woman, as the weaker, as the lesser thereof. So homophobia is just an extension of misogyny. Misogyny is just a birth child of patriarchy, etc. Like, it all just is a whole big domino. But they're more offended, and this is why lesbians and I know that same gender loving women get their fair share, of course, of queerphobia and homophobia. Of course, so do trans men, etc. But the reason why queer men oftentimes take up more space when it comes to the conversation around phobia versus our female same gender loving counterparts or our trans men counterparts is because of the issue of patriarchy and misogyny.
Yep.
There is a more lubricating experience and even more of an acceptance of anybody who's assimilating toward the masculine, because that's ultimately who's authored the system to begin with, is the toxic masculine consciousness. So of course, if you assimilate as woman to masculinity, then they don't care that you're even homophobic or homosexual or bisexual. Matter of fact, they encourage that. Men are literally looking for women with the capacity for lesbianism and bisexuality. They literally want the lesbians by the bundles in the bedroom, which also is just another way to also objectify women, because it's actually kind of disgusting at just how vile and materialistic it really is, and how violent of a psychology it is, and what it reduces men to, and what it reduces women to.
And unfortunately, and I'm not trying to attack nobody's spiritual or religious beliefs, but there is no separation of church and state. Every nation on this planet follows their government and their law based off of their spiritual and or religious practice. Part of the complex, though, too, because it's really interesting, when you have a bunch of men that think that the first vagina was made by all he, him, and his derived ingredients, the creation of what they think created everything is a male. So for you to step outside of the construct of what they see as gender and as creation, it's treated as if you've turned your back on what you call the creator, or God. But the oxymoronic part is you think that the first pussy was made from all dick derived ingredients. And the last time I checked, my mama and my grandma, they weren't born women. They were born female. So they didn't come. Nothing that's born female is born, or male for that matter, is born in complete maturity, fruition of what it means to be that particular sex or gender. So it's a spiritual dysfunction, because men think that, to say that they don't know how a woman's body works most of the time, but they have the idea of thinking that a he, him, and his, those pronouns, created the she, her, and hers, not co-creating. So that plays a much more difference on the spiritual psychology of what goes on with men in that pathology.
And because of that spiritual dysfunction, IG, they're literally, men in the manosphere are literally over there scaling up how much more males bring to the table. Where it's us who carry life. It's like, this is what this boils down for you. Like, y'all are over there literally doing sex, math, and biological. Like, y'all are reducing this to, first, like, how is there a real conversation around who's contributing more to life on Earth? Is it women who bringing them in, or men who? And it's just like, on a basic reading rainbow magic school bus fashion. Isn't it taking two? Because I don't know the last time that there was a immaculate conception. So I don't understand. It's once again the depth and the desperation of patriarchy holding on to the sense of power, and that's ultimately what men are afraid of. This is why they're complaining about the success and the accolade of women, about the progression of women, about the independence of women, about the visibility of queer people, because what they're essentially doing is experiencing a shared power, but they're interpreting it as a total loss of that power, because they in fact want all of the power, not some of it, not a proportionate and equal. And then they get upset when we call cis hetero black men the white men of the black community. But it's
I call them the real gays, child, because like they like to say that they use when something's referred to as being negative. Oh, that's gay. That's gay. Well, nigga, based off of, let's see, you're not being father to your children. You're not moving politically in any way. That's pretty fucking gay to me. Yeah, they're the real gays when they won't talk about us being fucking, oh, that's gay. No, bitch, you the real fucking gays. You get to be very carefree and lighthearted, swinging your negligent ass seed all around. You procreate everything and cultivate nothing. That's pretty fucking gay.
Procreate and cultivate nothing.
Nothing. And you know what's crazy is that, like, but you know what's crazy?
You better talk your shit, Ashi.
wait. But you know what's crazy? The crazy thing is that these will literally be the same people that will literally get into the same, like, get in these spaces and say stuff like, I should be the leader, or the whole gender roles thing. I should be the leader. I should do this. I should do that. And the thing that's crazy to me is, like, they don't hear themselves when they speak. Like, sir, you're literally telling me is that a lot of times you would disown your child. A lot of times you would, quote unquote, protect your woman, but yet you would not protect your woman in times of need of when they really need it. Yes. You're talking about a situation where you might have a burglar late at night that comes to the house. Then yes, you're going to protect your family. But then when it's in times of need, the more frequent situations, aka a Roe v. Wade, you guys don't protect women, and specifically black women, because black women more than likely end up losing their lives because of childbirth. In instances of they're not taken care of from nurses, because black people are looked at as more stronger. They're able to endure more. Then a lot of times they don't get the proper procedures that they need, and also the children as well. And then the bad stigmas put on black babies and also black women while they're in there is that, no, we're not going to give you this pain medicine because we don't need you being addicted or being a pill popper, not realizing that she's really in pain and she needs it. And so you guys always talk about this once in a lifetime or once in a while situation of quote unquote protecting, but yet you don't protect her from STDs, STIs, because you're out there fucking and sucking and doing all the other shit, spitting in your neighbor asshole. But then you don't protect her from a woman coming to her as a woman. I'm gonna step to you like a woman. You don't protect her from different baby mamas. You don't protect her from all the other women that may come into your life. So what this idea of
you don't protect her from
these wait, because I just got to get this because I don't want to forget this. And then being the same people talking about, because right now I'm in bad. Be the same people talking about, actually fuck people. Be the same niggas talking about, oh, we got to be careful. I can't step to a man like that because I could lose my life. How the fuck you gonna sit up here and hold on to you being a protector and then be scared to lose your life? This is the shit I be talking about. Make it make sense. It's not making sense to me. You can continue.
I had went off on them niggas earlier this year and got off on all their ass about this whole. But it's they're not protecting. They can't even protect their women from the emotional isolation that comes from these niggas being emotionally castrated and sterile at heart. Like, there's going to take a deep reforming of the entire gender, sex, masc and femme polarity thing that America has gone on. And in a way, I can see that there is a shift, but there's definitely a fear and a holding on to. And so, matter of fact, while we're here, what do y'all then think of Cynthia G? IG, do you know who Cynthia G is?
Yes. Oh God, it's so interesting that you bring her up.
I'm psychic.
Oh my God.
It's so interesting because now, I started watching Cynthia G like a good 6-7 years ago. Now, here's the thing. If you love, I understand that black women have been dealt with, they've been dealt with. So because I love black women, if I see another woman that is giving you direction or telling you something in a real talk, straightforward way that I feel that would better you so you're not manipulated by the fuck dudes, I get that part of that. That's the part of me that I love her for that. And also I like her intelligence. I like the way that she breaks things down.
She was dragging. I'm sorry. She was dragging the living shit out of Dr. Umar. I was here for it.
But but I also can tell with her though, there is an internalized. There's a slight disdain there.
Slight.
Well, yes,
you're being very kind, Archie.
There is no, for real. There is a, and the only reason why I'm saying it's so interesting because I have had interactions on. I don't want to say this person's panel, but I'm gonna send you guys the link. I have been in their spaces and on their panels, fiercely defending Black women. But what I discovered is that just the presence of me saying who I am, not going into my sexuality, not describing anything about my sexuality, me simply saying based off of a Black first, as a Black same gender loving man, it's intolerable for them in their spaces, but they can use the word gay, dick in a booty ass nigga when it comes to referring to the Black male degenerates that they talk about. That's the Pookies and Ray Rays of the community. So when it comes to people like Cynthia G, she's good to a certain degree for Black women who do not have a certain conciseness of value. But in the overall picture, do I think she's overwhelmingly majority for all Black people? No. But do I think her position, however, even though, because I don't really listen to her no more, nothing like that, but I also see the type of experience that her being a cisgender Black heterosexual woman, and because she is heterosexual, well, all of those experiences that you have had with the Black men that you used to cape for is the reason why you're pushed. But it isn't same gender loving men why you're mad. It's the men that you choose to have sex with and put your trust in is why you've been pushed to this point.
Allegedly, she's transphobic as well. Now, I'm not ethically.
She is. No, she is. I can tell you from even from the.
So, can you tell me some of the things that she said? Because I'm curious to know what.
Okay. Well, okay. Here's the thing. Well, I'm gonna go because here's the thing. I never was. The time I was looking into her because I kept hearing about her. To me, at least from the stuff that I've seen, she never actually said out her mouth the stuff that I've seen. She never said out her mouth anything transphobic, but the people on her panels, they have a lot of transphobic rhetoric, and she kind of nods her head and she don't stop it. So that's why I was like, oh, I don't have to investigate any much longer because you already let me know what you're dealing with, because I would have stopped it right then and there. Like, nope, we're gonna respect pronouns, yada yada yada. But you didn't do that. You already told me what your mindset like. So I had to get up out of there. So what about you, IG?
I can tell that she does not recognize. She doesn't recognize the pronouns in the sense of the identity. I've heard her refer to, if it's a trans, like the whole Dejanay, oh, that's a man. Like she even said Winter Donovan, she will say that that's still a man. And that's the ignorance of most Black people here. They will, regardless of sex, they don't understand sex and gender is not the same thing. But if she knows that you're not a biological female, it doesn't matter if you identify as a trans woman, she's still going to call you a man. Like, period. And that's something you ain't gotta, she's still going to refer to you as a he, him, and his. She's not going to make a distinguish, because for her, anything that's Black and that has a penis is more her enemy right now. And it is, and I'm not making an excuse for her, but I can see the transition from the years, because I'm not gonna lie, even myself had to come to a certain realization of dealing with, but not just Black men, mostly heterosexual Black people in general. I kind of had to see, and based off of examination and things I'm looking at, said most of the problems that we have in society constructs, these are all heteronormative. These were brought to you by the heterosexual. That's why I don't call these bitches straight, because to say that you straight is without curve or bend. Honey, there is nothing perfect about your sexuality just because you engage in heterosexuality.
Yeah.
There's
You
nothing
let them
without
tell
her
it.
ever being about your sexuality. That's giving way too much credit, and I'm gonna be quiet.
Y'all make sure y'all thumbs up this video, y'all. Thumbs up, thumbs up. That really helps with the algorithm. I'm trying to keep from disrupting the conversation because it's really, really good. But that's why I keep trying to put it up in the on the screen and stuff. But I know some people probably just listening from far away.
You're going to see the kingdom by way of violence.
But I have a question though. Okay, so I do want to talk about this because we're gonna go back to Zaya Wade. I do want to talk about detransitioning because within this conversation, people keep having these fears and keep trying to push their own motives on this situation, saying stuff like, oh, the child cannot make that specific choice, even though they haven't said anything about no surgery, they haven't said anything about no medicine or any type of hormone pills or whatever. But the conversation surrounding this fear of what happens if it's a mistake, or what happens if ... So what's your guys' take on the detransitioning aspect of the conversation?
Okay,
you go, Conscious.
Okay, I'm trying to understand like what you're asking, like detransitioning. Because
yes,
when you say detransition, I'm thinking of those trans who hit the reverse Uno on their transition, but you're not talking about that.
No. Okay, so the reason I brought that up is because a lot of times in these conversations, people always have this fear, as in, my child should not make this type of, keep in mind,
life-altering.
Yes, because what happens if they regret it? And so they always touch up on it, but they never get deep into the conversation to where you can actually do the things up.
The dice are loaded when it comes to that question, because there's a lot that's wrong with American culture beyond like the whole passing privilege that trans women are trying to assimilate to for safety and for proper prospects from the male community is once again an extension of this patriarchal construct that also has cis hetero women assimilating in various ways to obtain A, B, C, D, and E, F, N, G in terms of any type of social equity. When it comes to this whole, because at the root of it, of course, is fear mongering. But because we have an extreme polarity system, what you have is trans people who now exist in the cosmetic age. And then you have the ramping up of transphobia and homophobia in that culture. You have trans women who struggle to sit still in their transition, or trans women and trans men to sit still in their transition because a part of their transition is out of safety. Is to reach the safe space, because to not pass is to be subjected to scrutiny, to stoning, to rock throwing, to discrimination, to bullying, to harassment, to everything. So because you have this thick coating of transphobia and queerphobia in the country, and then you have the convenience of the cosmetic industry that's booming, and the black market, which is heavily dangerous but tangible, for surgeries, for BBLs, for et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You then get the issue of people bum rushing what essentially deserves a honest journey. And I don't think that just applies to trans people. I think that applies to all people, including us as cisgendered, same gender loving men, cis, same gender loving women, cis, heterosexual men and women, because we're all having this experience of our sexuality. We're all having this experience of our gender. We're all having this experience of our femininity. This struggle exists on the micro. On the macro, it exists at the extreme in terms of the plight that trans folk have. But you have men who can't even conceive of wearing their hair long and going out into public. That feat to them is equivalent to contemplating life and death, to do something that they know is deeply... Look, we even had the guy who was dating a trans woman who was bullied outside of a convenience store, called every F-bomb, humiliated, etc. Any deviation from the script. So you have, when you come to the DL community, why are DL people on the DL? For safety purposes. Safety, and to sustain access. Why do you have a lot of trans people who are accelerating their journey? Because of safety. But I feel like the way we try to remedy the situation is by making trans people the conversation instead of making our homophobia and our transphobia the conversation. Because if we were a more affirming society, a more educated, a more high vibrating society, then people wouldn't even be assimilating in the ways that they are and feel the need to do things that even may cost them their life. Because how many cis women and trans women have lost their lives as a result of assimilating to these things out of trying to obtain access, trying to obtain financial freedom, trying to obtain access to a certain creed of men. Like, these things are tremendously we have a big issue on our hands. Without addressing the homophobia, without addressing the transphobia, you kind of have to expect trans people to do what the fuck they feel they need to do, to identify, and to identify quickly, and to do whatever needs to be done in order for one to feel complete within, and then also to be able to have a sense of safety and a sense of safety in a society that would treat you based upon how they see you. They treat you based upon how they see you. Respectability politics are real. It shapes and informs the way we respect you. You come into this building ungroomed. You come into this building not looking the part. You will be treated like you look.
Girl.
You come into this situation not on code, whatever that code is, not assimilated, whatever those standards are. People, unfortunately, that's a part of the materialism of the American culture. That's a part of the monkey see, monkey do ass, dumbed down, diluted consciousness that we have as Americans. Is we're very shallow people. Shallow. We determine people's worth based upon the way they show up. And the way they show up needs to be how we say they need to show up. So, I mean, people, yeah, like,
if I can't say a word, I'm gonna wave my hand.
Let me complete this. If to get rid of detransitioning is connect. Yeah, just go ahead, IG. I gotta work it out in my sleep deprived brain. Go ahead, boo.
Yeah, no. You getting it? But well, here's the thing. I don't think people are concerned about that. I agree with Reckless. It's really a false flag. It's performative concern, if you will. You're bringing that up as a possibility, or that's the more noble thing to be concerned about. But you're not concerned about the detransition. You're concerned about the transition. Your ultimate quarrel here isn't if she's transitioning. No, when issues transitioning and detransitioning. No, you don't want this person to detransition. You don't want this person to transition at all. So it's really performative, very much a performative concern. It's not a genuine concern. It's just the political correct term or talking point to have for people who have such idealisms.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when it comes for, you know, it is so interesting because I made a little live video on Facebook about a year ago with my friend when they did the whole picture when it was Gabrielle, Zaya, and the other little daughter. And I said, you know, it kills me because y'all talk about it's supposed to be this black family, and no one saw that that was a black family. That was two parents, two children. And I said, the problem is, and this is probably the little dig, but I'm going to just go there. Most of you niggas don't recognize or understand what Zaya is having done for her father because in your family portrait, your daddy wasn't with you. In your family portrait, you don't know what it means. And if people who had fathers, because that's another thing now, I'm over people doing that thing too, thinking just because something with a penis is in your life that you have this balance. There is toxic masculinity just as there is toxic femininity. So because Zaya doesn't have to deal with her father trying to project what he thinks based off of his experience and his gender on her. A lot of black children don't know what that looks like or feels like. So I think with it's a telltale of enviousness that, yeah, I wish I had someone or my daddy or my grandfather or the patriarch in my family would be as supportive as who I am as a going into young adulthood than, you know, than what I got. And one thing I do also want to point out too, it's almost asking too much of heterosexuals to understand the paradigm with us because this is one thing they don't do. They're not honest. It's almost it's crazy for not crazy, but it's like you're skipping to multiplication division before you went to addition and subtraction. Heterosexual relationships can't be honest about their own sexual exploitations amongst heterosexuality. Heterosexual men cannot be honest about their sexual desires with other women, and same thing with heterosexual females. They cannot be honest about their desires for other men. So what's going to make anybody else think that they're going to understand your paradigm when they can't even have an open door policy on their own cultural experiences?
And that is a perfect way for me to go right back into what I was trying to complete, because you just said it, IG, is a lot of the issues, a lot of the entanglement when it comes to the trans issue is really the entanglement that we're all in one way, shape, or form. And ultimately, what has to happen is, because you know what's so funny about the collective is that I don't have a problem with there being a majority of anything. If the majority is this or the majority is that, I'm fine. My issue is the majority deciding, because they are the majority, that no one else is equally the truth as well. That no one else is equally a part of the mystery. That no one else is equally. It's the, because this is the majority, then everyone else is something else and is othered and is dehumanized in this way. Do you know how many people actually, how many trans persons probably wouldn't even bother to consider altering their actual bodies in that way if they could just be respectfully loved for whatever it is they have available to them to just exist in their femininity and masculinity? And the same thing with heterosexual women. How much would cis hetero women lend to ass shots, boob shots, makeup, glam, a curvaceous body, etc., all this shit, if they existed in a space where they could be valued just because they are. The same thing with anybody else, whether that be fat Black people, could just exist and still have access to the respect, still have access to dignified treatment, still have access to desirability, still have access to these things. People only want to become and do the things that we're all doing for access to desirability. And unfortunately, that desirability by many is in the superficial direction. And most people cannot contemplate spending their lives missing out just to stay true to themselves. Most people want the experiences they want. They don't want to be alone. They want to feel sexy. They want to feel exceptional. But not even because we inherently feel these things, but because of the derangement of the fucking system. It has us thinking that these things, or that our sense of self is in access to these things, and it's not. But we also are a monkey see, monkey do species. We are mammals. We are a pack species. We're tribal. We're communal. So what we see the majority do, we follow suit with. And if the majority is jumping off the cliff, we're inclined to jump right off that motherfucker with them. So if most of the world is, if most women who have natural hair, who have not had any cosmetic surgery, who are modest in nature, are living in a society where the men who they have and who they may want are cheating on them with the women who did, are only feeling like the man because they're able to obtain these women that they exotify, etc., then what do you think is being done to the self-esteem and the consciousness of that modest natural woman? She eventually is going to seriously contemplate assimilating and conforming to that world in order to maintain that desirability, because in obtaining that desirability, she now can see that that is also connected to monogamy. She believes it's connected to fidelity. And that's what I find to be also fascinating, because Hazel E was recently in the news for, almost dying again from a surgery, which is like her second, third time, being butchered up and having a damn near-death experience. And I was thinking to myself, wow, it's so crazy that girls like Hazel E, she probably been, she definitely got dragged on Love and Hip Hop for her looks, the same way that kind of Tiny gets dragged for her appearance. And then these women assimilate out of trying to survive bullying and trying to survive beauty standards and trying to survive ugly, because man has created this thing called ugly. But at the same token, people like Hazel E never look at the fact that this is such a social construct that even Beyonce, who is considered one of the most beautiful women in the world, could not keep a man faithful to her. No amount of accolade, no amount of femininity, no amount of success, money, virtue, nothing could sustain a man's interest. And then the fact that patriarchy has convinced women that it is their responsibility solely to maintain the interest of a man takes all of the onus off of the man and burdens the woman with.
And I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And that's and that whole keep man mentality. If just making an observation, Halle Berry could
She
not
alone.
keep Eric Benet from because he had a sex addiction. Um,
Nicole Murphy.
Princess Diana allegedly, may she rest, right? They there's been women who've been powerful and wealthy, and they could not keep a man. And something that I've told people all the time, especially with me and my lover, we're 13 years. We're open. We've been open since the beginning. I tell people all the time, I don't keep my person. That what the fuck are you? Is that like something like you keep a purse? You can't keep material things like talking about. You can't really necessarily always keep inanimate objects in your possession. So how are you going to keep a whole soul? They have to want to stay. There's nothing you can do. There is nothing I can do to keep my lover. He has to want to stay.
He has to keep himself. Mm-hmm. Has to keep itself.
Yeah.
But the reason why we believe that is because we don't know how we've inadvertently we are inadvertently putting to practice the objectification of other human beings.
Yeah, like that see, people confuse affection with possession. They rhyme, but they mean totally different things. So people's ideals of love have become, if I can possess you, if I can own the the creme de la creme of your emotions. And for me, that's selfish because this is how I look at relationships, not just off of quality and quantity. Because me and my lover, we met. I was 25. He was 46 when we met. So here's the thing to consider for both of us. This man has had 46 years of experience of life before ever meeting me. And I had 25 years of life before ever knowing his existence. You can't expect a person to throw away all of the emotion connections or not hold those things as dear or near to them simply because you are going to be their lover. They still have other family and friends that have something to do with their affection outside of just sex. And that's a possession. You want to possess a soul, and you can't possess a soul. Hell, some people can't even keep possession of their house and the place to stay, but that's another conversation.
Yeah.
It's very true. And
I mean, you can possess a soul on some other shit, but that's some spiritual, alchemy and stuff. And I ain't gonna go there here, but I'm just saying, in a sense of ownership, possession.
And that's the whole crux of, because it took me a while to understand why Christ was so adamant about lust being a sin. That lust is a sin and is a sin is a sin, because in our simple ass culture, lust is just synonymous with sexual attraction. But I understood the deeper consequences of that word lust, which is really nature. The practice of objectifying other people. And when you start there, you actually work away from your humanity, and you actually work away from other people's humanity, which is why there can be no real humanity in a relationship that is set upon lust and objectification. It's about, once again, that pussy popping that we're talking about. It's about that ownership and that possessiveness that we're talking about. All these things are dehumanizing and completely reject the real human experience, the real experience of one's humanity, which we actually work away from. We work away from it to the point of slapping rings on each other, getting the state involved in order to control that organic human experience, because we're really in the business of the objectification. And what's at the root of that is fucking fear, which is why we even feel the need to marry and to union in these conventional ways to begin with, because we're all afraid of what it means to be chosen for real. And even at this point in my life, I realized that I am not trying anymore. I want, and not when it comes to just romantically, but period, platonically, when it comes to my relatives, that I deserve the opportunity to be loved just because. Nothing else. Nothing else. Just fucking because.
And it's funny.
Whether I got a fucking 8-pack or a negative 2-pack. Whether I have all the money in the world or living in a goddamn straw house in the Congo, that I want the experience of a free given love from people at this point in my life. I cannot do the performative shit. I cannot tolerate performative love from anybody else either. I confront performative love. I confront that inorganic shit. I am more relaxed at this point in time in my life. I value things like honesty, not you telling me what you believe I want to hear. I value the painful truth now. I'm not into the fantasy and all of that. I would much rather work with the full reality of things and find my way with as much of the truth as possible. I trust in the truth. I trust in the absolute. I cannot trust in the other convoluted shit. And so when I say that, like, these conversations always get very interesting, and there has to be a reforming of all the conversations, whether that's around trans, whether that's around sex, whether that's around religion, that's about God, whether that's around relationships, ideas of love, all of these philosophical areas, they have to be taken in a different direction, but they certainly have been hijacked by capitalism. God has been hijacked by capitalism. Religion has been hijacked by capitalism. Sexism has hijacked these. Fear has hijacked. All of our ignorances have hijacked all of these areas. And we have to realize that in order to overcome that and to transcend that. But
and that's interesting that you said it, because most people don't, people might disagree with me when I say this, but sexual monogamy is a human-made construct, and based off of the behavior of not even outside of sex, based off of the behavior of most people who you create these standards that you are not able to uphold yourself because it goes against your nature. It's clear that most people, that's why you have so many cheats, divorce people. It was what I was saying earlier. Heterosexual relationships can't be honest among their own heterosexuality. They can't even express something, because see, we're all forced into monogamy. There's no agenda, there's no laws or anything that's making people who have poly or open sexual relationships. And as a matter of fact, people have that ideal of those archetypal relationships because the state rewards you for that. You can increase your lineage and have children, but how you will be seen as a citizen, what type of tax breaks, how things will fall into play for your estate. Everyone is more advantageous to do that because it is connected to your government and your society, but it also forces, clearly, regardless of your sexuality, your gender expression, or your race or national background, more people are forced to go with this construct of love than they are doing it because it's in their nature to do so.
Well, it's actually interesting as well is that I'm probably, please blame it on my tongue, not my heart. Aisha, what's her last name, Conscious? Aisha, the Grapevine.
Oh, I just know her as Aisha.
Aisha from the Grapevine. She ended up passing away
Yeah.
a couple years ago, I want to say. And she was last year. Yeah, she actually ended up talking about monogamy and poly. And she actually mentioned and said that through the guise of a patriarchal lens, monogamy was made to be able to allow every regular guy to be able to have a chance at love or being able to marry. Through the guise of polygamy, only men with resources, that could mean money, access, etc., were the only ones that were able to marry and have multiple wives, because they had to take care and provide for those other wives, women, mistresses, etc. So
Yeah, like because it forces people even outside of sexual constructs. Like when me and Conscious, when I was on your panel the last time, and we was having a discussion about well, I brought up what about the Arkansas singer, and how the relationship with you and Larry. People don't understand, and it's kind of sad because it's a human nature cue to understand that you can love and have a deep connection with a person, and it really is a telltale story to show that they try to say that we as homosexuals are more sexual driven, but no, sexuality means more to y'all, because obviously if you represent everything through your marriage, the consummation has to do with sex. Sex means and more to you in this construct than it does to all of the other orientations, because that's how you show to society by having a family and going into all of those different roles. You're showing the value of what you perceive your sex is. So sex for them is more important because it's everything more for them than it is for I'm not going to say all heterosexual relationships, but it's clear in the construct of how they design things. Sex means more an empowering and possession for them than it does everyone else.
And you know what's another thing that I say as well is that if queer people, that's the whole umbrella, are more sex driven, I want to push the envelope. Who made us that way? Because here's the thing that, and this actually goes back to Zaya. I believe, now this is reckless speaking. I believe one of the factors that play a huge part in why this stigma or queer people are so sexually driven and all these things is because of the simple fact of a lot of times growing up, we didn't have that process of showing affection, of being able to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, being able to hold hands, being able to have our first kiss publicly, being able to show affection in front of people without having to worry about what people are going to think. I got to think about over here. Oh, what is God going to think? What is this? What the Bible says this. And then on top of that, wait. Then on top of that, then we're shocked when DL culture and queer people engage in DL culture, when that's all that we have been doing for just about our whole lives. Because let's also keep in mind is that a lot of times, a lot of queer people, their first interaction is with the same sex is when they're about to have sex, for the most part, because we don't have that I would say that same process of dating and being able to build upon that. So what you about to say, Conscious?
But because you inspired a thought, and I was saying, because I always talk about that too, how we've had a very bizarre experience of our orientation because of the fear mongering and the religiosity that really prohibited us from being able to sexualize love and romance and intimacy and sex in a proper and healthy fashion. But then again, to y'all's point, heterosexual people are clearly more engaged in sexuality than anybody else. Hence the majority, hence the alleged population growth, hence. So maybe this also why there's so much sexual dysfunction amongst heterosexual people too, because not only do queer people have to deal with the queer phobia that is within the algorithm of orientation. But as Black people, sex in general is taboo, even amongst the heterosexual community. Religiosity is also something that they have to navigate as well. These ideas of chastity and virtue and sex and sin and condemnation and preserving yourself until you are married, etc. The patriarchy's perversion of sex as it relates to the way that it indoctrinates and socializes men on the topic of sex versus how it socializes and indoctrinates its female counterparts. So like that, all these things create all of the sexual dysfunction, hence preteen pregnancies, hence Papa being a Rolling Stone, hence women having a lack of agency and a lack of sexual autonomy, hence all of the fucking discrepancies, hence the fact that despite how conservative America tries to make it seem, but that it also sex sells in the same country that holds all of these religious fundamental ideas. So the dysfunction and the perversion and the confusion is all over the place because we're really dropping the ball collectively on the subject all together. And you can see that not only in the queer community, but you can also definitely see it in the heterosexual one too. Which is why I say once again, I think the whole fucking system has to be uprooted.
When
for both the queer folk and straight folk, the system has to be uprooted.
Yes, because I was having a conversation with Storm about that on his panel. That because he tried to mention something as if, well, you know, I heard gay people say, you know, when it came to August Alsina, that they were what they thought. That I said it doesn't matter your sexual orientation or your gender expression, especially if you come from a particular culture, Black, aka Black American, and ADOL, so however you identify. You don't escape. You know, there's no escapism from that through sexual orientation or gender expression. There is no escapism from that. And then when it comes to sexual over sexualization, I learned what it means to be over sexualized through heterosexuality. And this is something I've mentioned on a TikTok video because I was having an exchange with someone. I said, "What's the pre-troll?" It's kind of interesting how they want to say, well, we don't want our children to be sexualized. I said, hold on, sweetheart. I grew up in the 80s, baby. And you had cartoons and stuff like that that would show a heteronormal situation. Oh, it was cute when a boy and a girl hold hands. How many times in the Black community y'all seen that? It could be a 3, a 4, and a 5-year-old. And as long as they're opposite gender, guess what? That's what heterosexuals are gonna do. Oh, look at that's his girlfriend, that's his wife. Oh, girl, he cute. He gonna be a lady killer. And the history of fucking neverdom, will have you ever seen the Black community say, oh, look at those two boys, they're going to be lovers? But for me, that's an issue because y'all have projected sexuality onto children, not us. Y'all are the ones that when you see someone who might have a queer expression, you attach sexuality to children in that way, not us. Y'all are the ones that are always attaching sexuality to children by inserting that type of comments on children, and they're just fucking playing. They're not thinking of boyfriend, girlfriend. You're putting that energy. You're speaking adult context conversations. So it's really interesting when they want to talk about who's over sexualizing the children. Honey, you've been doing it for centuries. And I'm not, art imitates life and life imitates art. Why the fuck was it okay for Elvis' ugly ass to have sex with a 14-year-old Celie? It doesn't get more sexualized than that when it comes to underage people.
Yeah.
Y'all the ones who have the laws. You're the ones who have the laws. As long as it's opposite gender, it's okay. You didn't look at it from the moral compass of it being over-sexualized. But again, that's something that has affected all of us regardless of our sexual orientation. But the way for it to be put into play, like you was talking on your video earlier, the demons, the people who are running, it's a clear indication. It's the trying to shift the blame. Of course, I'd want you to pathologize these group of people for this reason when I'm the one doing it.
Exactly. And what you were saying, IG, about the over-sexualization of children, where you can see it in its prominence is when it comes to woman's body, very young woman's body. I've never, as a male, grown up in this culture, along with my cousins, my brothers, etc., ever been told that I need to take that off, I look too sexy. But I have seen all of the girls in my family police about their bodies, about their buttocks, about their thighs, about the way their bodies show up in clothing. I've never had to concern myself as a male with the way that my body shows up in clothing of any kind. But you can really see that projection of sexuality when it comes to woman and policing woman's body, even religiously. You find the verses that police woman's body as a way to direct and to control men's libido. And you see once again that ownership is placed on the feminine. The burden and that responsibility and that standard is heavily placed on the feminine. And you also see once again that strong projection onto the female community. So yeah, the conversation around over sexualizing, yeah, the heterosexual community does it profusely, which is why they want their girls in barrettes and dresses down to their ankle, because anything else means that they're being grown, they're being fast, that they are trying to be an adult. My cousin, and I always tell the story on my platform. My cousin is, how old is she? She's like 20. She's like 20 now, but she was like 18, and she was living with my grandma. And she came into the kitchen, and she had on these form-fitting jeans. And my grandma was immediately polarized by those form-fitting jeans. And she said, "Girl, you need to change. You need to change your jeans." And she said, "Why? I need to change my jeans." She said, "Because you don't want men. You don't want to be sending the wrong signal to men. And we living in a crazy world, and that's sending the wrong message." And I was like, wow. And I had to have a whole conversation with my grandma and tell her, like, I know on the surface, like, what you are saying makes sense to you, and you all, and it's nothing wrong with, like, make her aware, but don't make her responsible for what men do.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I was. Yep.
Make her aware of the cancer and the poison that can be in the, in men's community out here in the world. But you have to be careful about toting that line when you're talking to her about her body, and you're talking to her about her body as it relates to the opposite sex, because there are a lot of conversations to have there. But yes, like, make her aware, but don't make her responsible for what men do. You have to make men responsible for what men
do. What they do.
Exactly, and unfortunately, that's the and that is a and this is I heard this from Cynthia Gina. I do agree that it's a black male worshiping pathology.
Yeah,
it's better for you because here's the thing: they would rather say that, okay, they're looking at it as protection, because they know that men are more often than not at times are not held accountable for what they do to females. So unfortunately, out of a survival tactic, out from fear, and realizing that, well, hold on, because in those days, in the 30s and 40s and 20s, not just black people, it was legal for you to have those type of marriages and relationships. So when elders, I just know from things my father, my father was born 1926. So there are things that he told me what the fuck went on and how it went on. You know what I'm saying? So I get why you did need to pull the elder to the side, but I also see, well, based from their environment, there wasn't all this protection for women and all of these different things. A man could just do what he do. So,
and there really still isn't that protection, to be honest, which is why I understand it. And I told her, I understand you need, and yes, you do have to make her aware, because women today still live in a misogynistic, patriarchal system where they are subjected to sex trafficking, human trafficking, coercion, RAPE, sexual assault, domestic violence, etc. There was a video that was circulating like a few years ago of a woman on her cell phone minding her business, walking the damn curbside, and you see this man like tap her on the ass, and rightfully so, because he entitled himself to her body. She entitled her open hand to his face and slapped him.
Yes, ma'am.
As a result of that cause and effect, he beat the living shit out of this woman punched her and beat her in her face to the ground. This woman had broken bones in her face. The ambulance had to be called to the scene, all because she held him accountable for what he felt entitled to, which is what's so cancerous and dangerous about this hypermasculine, toxic, patriarchal shit that we don't realize we are setting a precedence for by the way we cultivate and socialize the sexes. And it's causing this entitlement and this objectification, once again, that woman is nothing more than a comeback and a vacuum cleaner for the male community, that they have no inherent value, they have no inherent feelings, and this is why it's also easy for men to emotionally disregard women. Look at how Safari is acting and behaving toward
Erica Mena.
He has no emotional concept for what she's experiencing, for the isolation she's experiencing, for the abandonment she's experiencing. Only if it's done to him can he have that experience of it, like any true narcissist, but have no concept for the way he shows up in other people's lives and the emotional toll and weight and trauma and consequences of that. And when I look at patriarchy, that's what essentially we're raising a community of narcissists. That's ultimately what patriarchy is narcissism in the context of male essence and male existence. It's just narcissism.
Yeah.
And then everybody else becomes narcissistically abused, disregarded, controlled, menaced, and terrorized by that narcissism, that collective narcissism. So here it is. You have even TD Jakes joining in ranks to tell women, your bitches are being too strong.
Masculine.
You're being too strong. You got to leave room. You're making too much money. You got to leave space for a man. You got to, like, are you okay, Miss Jakes?
These niggas ain't shit. Even the ones that say I am the good guy, girl, run for the hills. When they have to tell you they are a good guy, baby, you better take the off. Okay? It's certain things that you shouldn't even have to say. You should see it in the way that you present yourself on a consistent basis. Of course, everybody's going to be quote unquote the good guy when you first meet a motherfucker. But as time goes on and you start holding on to that coochie, baby, the true him will come out. I promise you. Baby, these niggas ain't shit. No
but
shit.
That I gagged at TD Jakes because it was an ultimate receipt. Because while he was talking all that good sweet R&B shit to women's community about coming down a few notches so that men can have an opportunity to come up a few notches, I was like, yes, TD Jakes, yes, baby. Tell men how fragile patriarchy is. Tell them how fragile their ego is, because that's really what he was citing. He was citing that men are so incompetent and lack such a substantive identity that women need to arrange themselves in a way to give men purpose.
Wait. Remember, lower your standards. That's something they always say.
To give men purpose. Stop being so strong to give men purpose. Stop making money to give men purpose. Stop knowing yourself and thyself to the level that you do so that you can give man purpose.
But for people who claim to have the most natural sexuality, they're so out of tune of how how the physiology and gender plays, and there is hardly no female species on the planet that is going to make way for a male. The male often has to prove themselves in a way to show that you are adequate for me to carry a child or for you to procreate with. It's not the other way around. It's for people who have heteronormative ideals, they're completely out of tune with nature, because
It's the
how nature
manipulation.
works, females aren't waiting for males to provide anything for them. They provide for themselves. That what they are doing is co-opting and coming together to create life. But that comes with a standard on both sides. It's
Yeah.
not that female, there's no other female species beside humanoids that is going to lower an expectation of their greatness for the great God-given creature that they are as the feminine divine. There is no other female species that does that. So the
Mm-hmm.
men who are requesting that, I even myself, I don't have an. I tell people all the time, I'm very much opposite gender loving. I might not be always opposite sexual loving. There are exceptions here, but for the majority of the but my opposite gender lovingness, it's not just what's the woman's body, it's her mind. It's the way she thinks. She has an intellect. One thing about gay men and choirs, honey, we know we don't get me wrong. I love a dirty old male chorus and 4/5 part male harmony. But for the kicks, the cats meow, I want a diversity of feminine, different timbres of voice. So there are things about the female species that we need, regardless of our sexual identity or sexuality. There are things that you can still be in tune with nature. I never had a conflicting interest. I was more curious when I went through puberty because I grew up having a father name. And just in case y'all were wondering, you hear me say my father because my mom died when I was 6. So
Oh, sorry to hear that, IG.
yeah, I was raised by a single father. But when I went through puberty, I started to have more female friends because I became more curious about the intellect. The why do women think the way that they think? Why do females say what they say? Why? Because see, I didn't grow up around no women, so it was interesting to me. I knew there was something different there. There was a human experience that only she could give me, and this was without any sexual energy towards female. I tell niggas all the time, baby, I like men, but I don't ever want to go to jail because that's too much dick for me. That's too much testosterone. That's too much. I can't be around men all the time. Someone will get hurt. I don't give a fuck if we fuck
Yeah.
it or not. It's too much dick. I need a
Yeah.
balance.
It's too much dick. But okay, so this is too much dick. That just took me out. That just took me out.
Period.
But I'm not gonna lie, and I think I've said this on my platform, but however, I know I said it behind the scenes. And it's funny that you said the whole thing about a woman's mind. And this is kind of where I am currently. Once again, if the shoe fits, put that bitch on and wear it, Cinderella. But if it don't, I'm not talking about everybody. It's easier for me to find an intelligent woman than it is for me to find an intelligent man when it comes to heterosexuality. No shade. And this goes back to now, of course, there are a lot of heterosexual men, specifically in the manosphere, that have degrees, they have certifications, they have the resume, but what's always a hindering factor is that they also don't want to acknowledge that they have a privilege. And this goes back to what I said earlier about the privileges. The reason why you want to acknowledge that you have a privilege, because that blind spot that your privilege creates, it completely makes you unaware of experiences and being able to articulate and mold your opinion or your worldview to incorporate everybody. And so a lot of times when men go to speak, typically in certain conversations, well, most conversations, when they go to speak, it sounds ignorant because they hold a privilege that they acknowledge, but at the same time they don't acknowledge. They acknowledge it when it's saying this is hierarchy. Men built this world. This is our land. But then they don't want to acknowledge it when they have to take into account the effects that women have gone through when it comes down to this patriarchal system, and also when it comes to how queer people also are treated, and also heterosexual men who aren't as masculine, which is really called hegemonic masculinity. So it's like they acknowledge it, but at times, but then at other times they don't want to acknowledge it. The same thing with the animal kingdom. They always alpha this, alpha that when it comes down to, yeah, I'm the alpha man, and then you a beta, but they never acknowledge the animal kingdom when it comes down to the homosexual species that we see within nature. They never want to acknowledge the animal kingdom when we actually start to dig into the woman actually being the head or in charge. So it's like it's manipulative, and that's just no shame.
It's selective, yeah. I mean, of course, it's the agenda. It's the cis hetero agenda. You cannot talk about nature and only acknowledge heteronormativity or heterosexuality. Everything in nature happens. Everything that we determine about, when we even use the term nature, we're literally talking about that. Like, even when we're talking about human nature, we're talking about nature as a whole. Within nature, you see transgenderism, you have asexuality, you have a self-producing species, you have fish that can literally mighty morph into the necessary sex if there needs to be a balance to male to female ratio. You see all of these systems and manifestations out in nature, and all humanity is just a human personification of principles and truths and realities and mysteries that exist out in nature. There's nothing that we're doing as a people that is not being done in nature organically. Transgenderism is a phenomenon you can find in nature. Pansexuality, polygamy, polyamory, monogamy. You have elephants who practice monogamy. You have other species. Then you have more polygamous mammals who there's one male lion to that female alliance, and the queen bee. You have the reverse of the polygamy, where you have the female hierarchical system. So it's about the agendas that hijack these truths and then confuse us and dumb us down. And so that awakening has to come through self-knowledge and studying history, studying your tribe, studying indigenous people, studying nature and science for yourself, and getting outside of the narratives that everybody is politicizing. IG, I know you was about to jump in here.
No, I totally. I just was saying. No, I was agreeing with you, because, and that's another thing too. And it's a hard pill for males to swallow, but everything in nature isn't necessarily male-led all the time either. And if we want to be real, and I brought this point out, and this go kind of sting a little bit, but truth be told,
yeah, you say it.
Nature is really a matriarch.
Yes. Because I'm about to say that. Because this is what I'm about to say. Because here's the thing: females are more resourceful in nature, regardless if they're carnivores, herbivores, because they have the ability not just to hold and sustain life, but to protect, navigate, and everything. There's a lot of, and that's what people kills.
And guess what, IG? That's probably the reason why there's a higher female population.
Yeah, and
population in the world as well. That's probably why we all also start off as female as well.
Female does not mean weak, especially people who say they like cats and carnivores. Sweetheart, female carnivores are not weak. They're not waiting. It takes a lot of intelligence, especially even if you're a predator. Okay, you can still have your predator. So you have to evade your predators and seek out your prey. This is not a dainty, oh, I am a delicate flower. No,
Damsel
that
in
bitch gonna,
distress.
that, I'm
Mhm.
sorry, I'm not trying to call no woman no bitch, but I'm saying that bitch gonna be, wait a minute, I got hell on this pussy here, honey. This
Mhm.
pussy didn't fail all, this pussy here didn't fully develop, and I don't have time to protect my offspring, to protect everything. I'm gonna put on my grown, my very assertive. She doesn't change her gender because she used the assertive side of her feminine energy. Same thing with
Mhm.
masculinity. Your gender doesn't change. You know what I'm saying? Us folks from New Orleans, we root workers and all that shit. When my mom died when I was 6, you know what my pa would do me when we had her little altar, little picture with a little glass of water? He would just randomly stop me. We part of them Choctaw Seminole and mixed with South Africans. That's the shit New Orleans. But what we would do, my pa would stop me, and I'm getting a chill thinking about it now. He would randomly say, bro, come here. Say, baby, that's your mom right there. You couldn't be here without a woman. Please understand, you are part your mother and father. And because he had an inside spiritual sight, the way that I expressed myself, he would laugh. He said, "Oh, there goes Louise. There go your mama's spirit," and it would tickle him because he taught me you're part of both of the entities that make you. You don't
Mhm.
change your gender, your anatomy doesn't change, but the expression of the spirit within you are both of those entities.
Mhm. Well, okay, so I do want to, because I actually did put this on the screen, but I know some people may listen to this and not actually watch it. So I do want to read this out loud. It's just like a little excerpt or whatever. I may actually do a video on this. It says, now, I just looked up transgender animals in nature. It says clownfish, wasps, girl, I blame it on my tongue, not my heart. Moray eels, gobies, and other fish species are known for to change sex, including reproductive functions. A school of clownfish is always built into a hierarchy with the female fish at the top. When she passes, the dominant male changes sex and takes her place. So even when they start to get in this conversation about, oh, nature and nature, it's in nature as well too. A lot of things that we talk about, we're saying that it's in nature. It doesn't have to be the majority, but however, it still happens. The same thing as we see queer people here today and transgender people. We're not the majority, but we still exist.
And it's kind of strange for people who have. I'm about to just go here for a second because I'm feeling a little petty. It's so interesting from the people who have a belief. Because here's the thing, I've said this, and I've said it being facetious, but I mean some truth
Yeah.
in it. Eve had to be a trans woman because there is nothing in nature, my nigga, that is just created from a source or a body part from one male. Like, see, you're not talking about metamorphosis. So if you have a problem with people altering or being created from something that is one thing, I'm sorry, the last time I checked, my mama, my grandma coochie never fell out. Okay, they came with that hardware was included. So it's so interesting that the people have a problem who want to say that something's so natural, but there's nothing natural about a woman being created from a man's rib. That doesn't happen. Which one is going to happen naturally? The metamorphosis through transgenderism or people engaging in same-sex affections? That can happen without a chemical or surgical procedure. And I'm not saying that to to disrespect trans women, but I'm saying in one breath you want to talk about how something is so against nature, but nigga, the last time I checked, there is nothing that is created from anyone's rib naturally, that is naturally. So they can pick and choose when they want to be so technical of how something naturally works, but you will ignore that when it comes. If it will give you the credit for women's antiquity, you'll avoid all that nature. You'll avoid all that science. You'll just disregard nature then. And I just want to say that.
But let me add to your petty IG and tell you how, even with the way the story is currently set up, it works against those niggas.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting how these niggas are anti-sissy, anti-homo, anti-trans, anti-woman, misogynistic, but yet, where did God pull and extrapolate Eve from? He didn't create her from the ground up like he did Adam. He went into the femininity that existed in the male and personified that femininity external to himself.
Yeah.
He reached into him and pulled out her.
And what does that mean, my nigga, when you create? So hold on. If you say I'm an abomination, well, wait a minute, motherfucker. I was made from your heterosexuality. So what's on the inside of you? You can't use your sexuality to create me and then hate me. Well, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for your sexuality. So I got here through that practice of that sexuality. You can't say that I'm of you and not of you. Well, no. If I came out this way, it's because I came from you. What was on the inside of you, regardless if you want to go there spiritually, scientifically, what was on the inside of you as to why I was created the way that I was created?
Girl. Because I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna talk about the panel again. I'm gonna be honest. So one of the things is that, by the way, y'all, if you're just coming in, I'm coming up with a panel. It's called the Reckless Bureau. And it's not going to be one of them panels where I drop the link and people come up. I already have designated panelists. And we're going to talk about sensitive things.
I want to come.
And I know for a fact, typically, because I try to make my panel very diverse, I know typically queer people and women, they kind of stick together when it comes down to issues and stuff or conversations. So I really tried my best, and I think I got a few of them on there, of getting heterosexual men on the panel, because I know a lot of heterosexual men probably don't come across this live. They probably don't come across a lot of the queer people that actually do speak, a lot of women that actually do speak. But however, that's all I want to make it my business to incorporate them in these spaces so we can talk to them and stop talking about them. But I'm still gonna talk about you, but I just want to get you guys more in these spaces so I can talk to you as well. But yeah, that's all I want to say. Alrighty, so be completely honest, when it comes down to this whole Zaya Wade situation, let's just call a spade. The mama, in my personal opinion, you really don't give a fuck. Like, because like Funky I even said, if it's one thing for you to be mad because you want to be in on saying yes, but however, you already showed your hand when you continue to speak in the way that you've been speaking. You don't care about Zaya Wade and as in you being sincere about worrying about Zaya Wade's transition. You just want to have access to her, like Conscious said, to be transphobic and say, no, you're not going to do this, you're not going to do that, specifically when the changes that are actually being made is not even harmful to the child. It's not harmful. Zaya's not losing a leg. Zaya's not chopping anything off. Zaya's, to our knowledge, even then, it's not our business, is not even taking any type of hormones. So with that being said, you're getting worked up all for nothing. You guys have any more thoughts?
No, I just want to say thank you once again. I so enjoyed both of you brothers once again. I'm so glad I caught y'all on this live. I definitely Reckless want to be part of that panel when you do have it coming on and stuff like that. And and I also sent you something in the back chat with that video that I was telling you about, because I recorded it from the person that's associated with Sinji. I don't want to give this person no kind of clout, but you know what I'm saying. You could you can listen to it, because I felt that frustration, because when we first was on the panel, Reckless, you were saying, yeah, no shade, but I know exactly what you meant when you be like, people present the black thing, and I said, I know exactly what you're talking about, because in those YouTube spaces, I have proof audio, which you're gonna hear. It's a public video, you know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying, you'll be able to hear like, wow, based off of what I was saying, it didn't matter that I came there to the conversation to play and add to the conversation for the betterment of all Black people, because me simply saying this is who I am, not describing, not going to their details, was too much. But a Black man who was saying all type of inappropriate things towards women could stay on the panel and put their rhetoric out there and stuff like that. So once again, I'm so glad that I'm seeing other same gender loving Black intellectual men coming out, because that's something a brother of mine, he's a spiritualist. He said, he's a Nigerian brother, half Nigerian brother. He said, see, I'm not doing divestment with you Black women. I'm doing purification. And purification means, it doesn't mean that you separate from your roots. You just go off a different branch. I'm not being part of that branch. I'm instilling purification and not divestment. Thank y'all for having me.
Amen. Wait, before you go, before you go, put your Instagram in the private chat.
Okay.
Because for my panel, I actually do have an actual group chat where I actually put information in, so I can kind of keep up with everybody. Because I know if I get off here, I'm probably gonna forget. So do it now, because if
I'm
not,
doing it right now, baby.
I probably forget.
Baby.
And by the way, on this, and keep in mind, all the people I've chosen for, all the people I chose for the panel, I wanted them, because even if they think something and it comes off wrong or comes off crazy, they're gonna stand in their shit. They're gonna say it. And I want that on the panel, because we cannot have the real serious conversations if people aren't honest. And that's just no shit. Like, and it may get like, some of the language may start to get a little crazy. Of course, I'm gonna be like, okay, everybody just chill it out, or everybody chill. But in order for us to really get to a whole different place, we're gonna have to start being honest. How do you truly feel? Okay, so you feel like this. Why do you feel like this? Let them explain it, and then we can talk about it. But yeah, so I used to do this on Bigo, and Conscious no, I had him over on Bigo one time. Got a little crazy, so I kind of just sure. But yeah, actually the panel, I plan on having the panel in January, or at least I'm gonna plan on filming it in January. I'm probably gonna release it in February. But reason why is because in December and stuff, people's schedules start getting crazy. You visiting family. It gets all over the place. But yes, that's what I'm working on.
Clearly, you must didn't see how my platform held it down last Christmas Sunday.
Oh yeah, I know.
Honey, we you wouldn't even known it was a Christmas holiday month, holiday weekend, holiday day, baby. We had it crunk off in that thing.
No, the reason why I said that is because I know you and this other person that he was kind of getting like y'all was. And I had to shut it down real quick, because y'all not gonna put me in no situation as in I got now you got to choose this person. I ain't doing none of that. We just shut it down. We ain't finna get into all that.
I am behooved. I have no idea who you're talking about, because I ain't never put nobody in that position, period.
No, so. I'm not saying no. I'm not. Okay, what I'm saying is that I had to shut that down before that had went anywhere. I was like, we ain't finna do this. Next question.
You gotta let me you gotta let bitches beat each other up.
I know that.
Just allow the ram horning to just have its natural fallout.
But here's the thing, though.
I can go into some shit and still be like, you want to go out to lunch? Like, baby, nothing.
The point of me bringing that up is to show, like, the questions I was asking, they were like generic. I didn't even get into like the spiritual. I didn't even do. And that panel was starting to get riled up. So I know with these panels, I probably won't even have to say much.
Because Bigo is filled with a bunch of people who have a lot of emotional trauma in their life. So that's why them hoes always ready to leap out of the window. You ain't even got to get deep off, honey. You just scratch the surface and them hoes out of the window. Off the rooftop, honey. It's a bunch of emotionally traumatized folk up over old Bigo, baby. Okay, that's
I ain't never
it's a virtual hell going on over there.
I put the name of my Instagram name because I was trying to share it, but it wasn't letting me do it. But it's IG Green 85, and oh yeah, and Conscious.
Yes.
That's the chat. And reference, if you're gonna look at my work, it's the IG Green 85, not the one with the blonde hair, because I had this look where I dyed everything blonde, everything really interesting. But it's
I
IG,
love it.
it's IG Green 85, and that's the same thing with my YouTube channel. Where I'm at on that channel, I forgot that I had a channel that I was just uploading a lot of my college performance and stuff like that. So I already have 130 subscribers there from the videos from my performances, and I can go live there. So that's the channel that I'm going to be working with. Same thing too for you, Reckless. It's IG Green 85 for my Instagram and my YouTube channel. I enjoyed y'all so fucking much, baby.
You are everything. Reckless, you got to help me get his YouTube shit going, because he and I have a consultation, because we need him out there on these streets, honey, shutting shit down.
Already got him.
All the boys and all the girls to the yard. So we go. What you doing tomorrow, IG? Like, what's your schedule?
Yes. I'm free. I'm free tomorrow, so you can call me. I was even debating on just maybe going live tomorrow on my channel and stuff like that. I'm not too. So I might, just hit me up, and I don't mind if you pass my information to Reckless as well. If y'all coordinate very well, you can pass him my number, and email, and all that. I have no problem.
So then we'll give you a call early on in the day, so that you'll still have Sunday available to do whatever you want to do
I ain't got shit to do, baby. If I ain't at the plantation, baby, I'll be chilling on Sunday.
Not the plantation.
Because I'm gonna be honest, like when it comes down to the production and stuff, I got you,
and that's where I need help.
Okay, well, we got you, IG.
I need help, so I appreciate you, brother, so much.
Okay,
well, thank you so very much,
you too.
Later, huh?
Later.
And by the way, I already added
you, y'all.
Alrighty, so
glad. I am so glad that IG jumped out of the bushes, Lord. Like, it be some amazing people in the bushes.
Yeah,
come down, honey. Come down from the heavens, honey.
I'm not gonna lie, because you remember the conversation we had. I was like, I'm gonna start loading the other videos because it's easier. But because I'm so every so often I'm always going live all the time. It's easy for me to go live, and I also like the engaging part, like
the interactive part.
Yeah. So
I think when it comes to like the topics that gonna be like conversation pieces, you can make those the lives, and the things that you just have like kind of a straight from the hip thought about, you can make your pre-recorded material.
Well, I might do something like this. I might do something along the lines of, when it comes out of certain things, just make the video and probably try to keep around that 30-minute less thing, and then do this, like have another segment where I kind of talk on it, and then have people come in and add their opinion. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna find that middle space, because I need to do like the 30-minute or less video.
Another great idea is you could just continue to do your pre-recorded videos, and then you can either ask the people in the pre-recorded at the end if they want to do an after show to let you know down below, so you can get a drift of if it's a conversation that need to continue on, or you can just scan your comment section. Definitely tell the people, hey, let me know what you think, because I use y'all's thoughts and engagements to determine what the next show is, or if y'all want to go live and get into an actual dialogue together as a collective, So you can do it all type of ways to kind of read the room.
Because then, yes, I can do that, because I've been using my community wall more often, my community tab. So the community tab would be really good, or Instagram or whatever.
Or you can break your content up. You can do your pre-recorded here, and then all the after shows can go on IG, so you can continue to cater to that algorithm as well. Or
it's a plethora of things. I'm not gonna lie.
It's so many options. You can just really get in how you want to get in it.
Well, we started with 2, and we ended with 2. We ended up having 3 for a while now, but we got 2 now.
Baby, man, I feel kind of bad, because me and IG killed your consistency, girl, because you just got on your like, I'm gonna keep these videos to 20 years, 3 hours damn later.
Well, I really don't care about like some things I know, like if I get in a certain car, I know it's not gonna be nuts. I know it's not gonna be like this video. I had a feeling it wasn't gonna be
short,
like 30 minutes. Yeah, it's not gonna be a 30 minutes because I'm like, girl. And then on top of he was like, drop the link. I was like, yeah, it's not gonna be.
Okay, let me share this out because we probably
it's not gonna be a short one.
Yeah.
But however, I got plans. And by the way, y'all, I'm bringing my reaction videos back. I set it up real spicy. I'm after this live, I'm gonna show conscious, but I set it up real spicy. I've been doing my shit.
Period. Look, y'all. Look. Reckless came back home, y'all. He was not with the social media shit, girl. He was a whole nother bitch, child. He had done got there in them streets. He done got that puss loose, girl. He ain't know what the hell a social media. He know what a YouTube was, girl. I practically had to pay this bitch to even get online. Like, so girl, he ride the bike, baby. He back galloping on that thing. I'm so proud of him. All the witchcraft worked. So he back, he in it, he done got the spirit again. So I'm happy he back out here with us because the conscious crew was missing your ass. They was like,
I was missing in action. I was missing in action because I was working and doing all the other stuff. I was like, girl.
I was like, girl, he had to be a man. He had to be a heterosexual man, girl.
It was great. We got to talk about all this stuff. It was so funny because even though I be in the military, I was wearing wigs and everything. It was a lot of stuff that went on. But thank you guys for this video. Please, because I really do want to make sure I really, as you guys can tell, push this a lot. Please make sure you guys thumbs up this video. It really does help with YouTube's algorithm. It really does help support the channel. Help me get recommended to new faces. And I think I kind of came up with a name for my group, the people that subscribe to me. Because since my name is recklesslogicc, when I first started, it was something called Brainstormers. But I was like, I'm not going to use that, but it's like a foundation. I could build upon it. So I was like, what about, I was thinking either maniacs or lunatics, something along them lines. I haven't decided yet. It's coming. But however, please make sure you guys thumbs up this video because that really does help the channel out a lot. Please share this video out. If you know this,
tell a friend. You guys post your favorite parts. If you got educated in certain parts that give you goosebumps, clip it, put it on IG, and tag a Reckless in it. Hashtag. Oh, what's your IG?
My IG is recklesslogicc. You can hit the link tree. Link in the description box is currently in the description box as we speak. You can hit that link that shows all of my social platforms. That shows my TikTok. I haven't uploaded the TikTok yet. My TikTok, it shows the Twitch that I also live stream from as well. It shows my Facebook, my Instagram. It shows all of my social platforms, and of course my YouTube and everything.
And
so make sure.
If you were really entertained, if you were really informed, if you really enjoyed yourself here, honey, don't be afraid to throw the king some coin. What's your cash app, Reckless? Show them
my
that
cash app is my name right here. Bam. And
RLogicc 2 C's 98, honey.
98.
Draw some love, honey. Every little bit counts, baby, because we be paying for StreamYard links. We be paying for the StreamYard a program we be getting our shit copywritten, trademark, logos made. Like,
I'm not going to lie. I know, but I'm not mad about it, but I've spent so much money into the brand I'm trying to build. I spent a lot of money when it comes down to the
how much you paid for that damn camera. The
camera I love. How much I paid for the camera, how much I paid for the mic, how much the different softwares that I use, different systems that let me know the analytics and how to be able to amplify. It's a lot of stuff that goes into it behind the scenes, but thank you guys so very much. Please support the channel. Please comment. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you guys thought. because yes, the interacting in the chat is very much useful and helpful. But also let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Let me go what you guys agree with, disagree with, what you guys learned, what you guys still have questions on, because I can build different content, being able to clear up some things. Just be vocal with me, okay? Let me know what you guys think. Hold on, I'm gonna go to these comments real quick. Okay, we good. So yes, let me go. Let me know what you guys think. As well, in addition to that, and I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna get off. Is that on my channel, whatever, on the About tab, you can also find my stuff. You can also find the links to where you can be able to donate as well. So I've been getting a lot of things in order. So with that being said, thank you guys so very much. That is it for our YouTube video for today, guys. Please make sure you guys pop that like button, hit the subscribe button, and please smack that notification bell so you do not, and I repeat, you do not miss any more posts from us. So with that being said, thank you guys, and I'll see you guys later. All righty, y'all.